everybody, my name's Kelly. If you're new here, I make videos related to thrifting and DIY because I'm trying to live as sustainably as possible while still sticking to a budget, and I found that shopping secondhand and making or upcycling things myself are two ways I've been able to not only be more sustainable but also save some money. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my 2021 sewing plans, as well as recapping my 2020 Make 9 and what all I actually ended up making from that, as well as what plans may have changed a little bit, or what I decided just wasn't really for me and that I didn't end up making. So I'm going to go through those things pretty quickly. If you haven't seen my 2020 Make 9 video, I'll link it up in the cards, so you can check that out first if you'd like. But otherwise, I'll still pop up images of what I wanted to make and then what I ended up making as well. I wish I could show you each piece here in person, but most of my stuff is still packed up in boxes because Will and I have only been back in Kansas for a month, and we haven't figured out where we're going to be living now. We are still staying with my in-laws at the moment. I'm so grateful to them that we're able to stay there, but we're definitely eager to get our own place, and we're actually looking into buying a house. I would love to be able to do more home decor content and like room makeovers and maybe even some renovation projects. So if we're able to buy a house and able to do those things, that would be really cool. But if not, we'll just get another apartment and that'll be okay too. So we'll see what happens, but I can't wait until we get that sorted so that I can do more sewing content and more fun, really in-depth DIY videos for you guys. So crossing my fingers that we figure that out soon. For now, I'm just gonna jump into sharing with you my 2020 Make 9, what I ended up making and what I didn't get to. And if you'd just prefer to skip to my 2021 sewing plans, you can go to this timestamp and I will share those with you there. So for my 2020 Make 9, I knew going into it that I wouldn't make all of 9 of the things. I don't think I've ever made all 9 things for my Make 9, and I'm okay with that. My plans change dramatically throughout the year, and of course I find new fabrics or new inspiration and I get new ideas, and those things sometimes take precedence over my previous plans, and that's okay. So I didn't make everything on my 2020 Make 9, but I always find it interesting to look back and see what I did end up making and what was still inspiring me by the end of the year. And sometimes there are things that I still want to make that I just didn't end up getting to that year, and that's totally fine too. So for my Make 9 from 2020, here's a reminder of what it looked like. And the things that I made and ended up loving were the silk cami. I just used a self-drafted pattern. It was cut on the bias, and I used bias binding to encase the edges as well as make the straps out of. And it was just a simple project, quick and easy, but I wore it to death. I absolutely love it, and I can't wait until the weather warms up a little bit more and I can start wearing it again. The second thing I made and I loved was the Monstera shower curtain. I was so excited about this when I finished it because the seam line was almost unnoticeable. The pattern matched up really well. I honestly semi-tried to match up the pattern, but I didn't pin down the whole thing or try really hard to match it up. So I was really pleasantly surprised with how well it matched up. And I loved that it brought some color into our bathroom and pattern and something new, because previously we had been using a white shower curtain, and I do like neutral, minimal design sometimes, but it was nice to have something different. And the third thing that I made and absolutely loved was the wool coat. I actually waited until December to make this, and I think I had the fabric already before I made my 2020 plans, or I bought the fabric very shortly after. So I had the fabric for a long time, and I was just putting it on. So the coat was made out of a wool nylon blend fabric. I think it was like 85 or 90% wool and only a little bit nylon. So that was nice because it'll reduce the amount of interest in little pests from eating the wool. And no matter where you live or how clean your house is, you're inevitably going to have something in your house that is interested in that. There are lots of different kinds of bugs that eat wool. And so I was really excited about that fabric because it was primarily natural fiber, but it did have that little bit of content that would reduce that from happening. And then I also lined it with rayon, which is technically man-made, but it's a very breathable fabric, and that's what I was going for, was something that would be breathable but still warm. And so I lined it with rayon and interlined it with cotton flannel to add just a little bit extra warmth. Initially, I was going to do cotton batting and quilt it to the lining, and I think that's why I put off this project for so long, was that I just didn't want to do the quilting. And so once I decided not to do that and decided to interline it with flannel instead, it made the project go so fast. I think I started making it that day that I made that decision, and I made it after, I think, 3 days I was done with it. And so I'm really glad that I did that. I did use a New Look pattern, and I did tweak it a little bit. So the pattern calls for I think inseam pockets, and it doesn't call for a lining. And so I ended up adding the lining as well as changing the pocket design, and I just did a pocket on one side, just a patch pocket, and I'm really glad I made that change. So I'm really happy with it. I do think I want to add a button, but I haven't found one yet that I love, and so I'm open to just adding it whenever I find one. The things that I made and I don't love were the Persephone pants. I just haven't been able to get that pattern right. And I think that I need to make a pants block with my measurements, figuring out my crotch curve, like what fits me best, figuring out how high the waist needs to be to sit on my waist properly, and all of that, and just make like a simple block that I can compare existing patterns to in order to make sure they fit me properly. Pants fitting can be very difficult, and everyone's body is different. So while the Persephone pants pattern may fit someone out of the package, for me it just didn't fit right, and I did make some tweaks to it to try to make it fit me well. I made more than one pair to try to get the fit right. I just never got it totally right, and they were never comfortable, and so I didn't end up wearing them. I've also decided that I don't think I like wide leg cropped things on me. I like wide leg pants, but usually a more relaxed, wide leg, comfy pant as opposed to a structured pant. And so I think that I'm gonna stay away from this silhouette just for me, but I do love them on other people. So I think it's just not something I feel confident in and not something I feel the need to make. But next time I need to make a pair of pants, I definitely will take the time to make a pants block because it's something I haven't done previously. And I think with my body type, I really need to do that because I have very high hips. And I also think my crotch curve is different than most patterns are drafted for. Of course, every pattern is different, but I've just never had a pants pattern really fit right away out of the package unless it was for a stretch fabric, like a stretch denim. I've had those work. But for something that's structured, I think I need to take the time to do that. And I've known that for a long time, but of course it's easy to be like, no, it's gonna work this time. It'll be fine. That's just, you can't do that with pants. Pants are hard to get right. And so I need to take the time to do it right. And I've told myself I'm not making any more pants until I take the time to do that. I'm definitely gonna do that next time. But I've decided that Persephone pants are just not for me, but I do love them. Like I said, I think they're great on everyone else. I just don't feel great in them, so I'm gonna hold off on those. Maybe someday I'll change my mind and decide to make them, but that's not right now. The other thing I made but didn't love was the paper bag waist shorts. I liked them, and they fit, like they ended up fitting fine, but I just didn't think they were flattering on me, and I thought that with how high my waist is, how high my hips are, and adding the additional like paper bag effect that heightens the shorts even more, it just didn't look right on me. And so it's something that, again, I like on other people, but I just don't think they're for me. And I actually ended up making this pair of shorts that are just like a regular elasticated waist. And I made these out of a thrifted blanket, and I have loved these. I've worn them so much. I've gotten so many compliments on them. They're just really comfortable, but they also look cute, and you can make them look more polished. Obviously, they're not ever gonna look like fancy, but you can make them look nice. And so I wanna make more shorts like this. I have made a couple other pairs in different woven fabrics, but because this one is such a nice, like, sweater knit almost, since it's made out of a blanket, I wanna make more in this style, and you'll see in my 2021 plans that I definitely intend on making more of these. The things I sort of made but made differently were the pillows. I still want to make some pillows in those linens for my living room, but I just never got to it in 2020. Obviously, it was a crazy year. But I did make a pillow and a wall hanging in a similar style to my inspiration images for the room makeover that I did recently. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up above. Yeah, I did make some pillows similar to that. They just weren't what I originally planned. And the other thing I sort of made was the Reformation dress. I made something in a similar style to that with a longer skirt and like a slit in the skirt as opposed to the short skirt with the ruffle. And I love that dress. It's one of my favorite things I've ever made. I feel great in it. And I still want to make the navy version that's similar to the inspiration image, but I think I'm just going to move that onto my 2021 plans. And the things I didn't make were the comfy pants. I still definitely want to make these. To be quite honest with you guys, even though I have a degree in apparel design and I love making clothes and I have a lot of experience, I don't have a lot of experience with knits. I've worked some with stable knits and I've made some knit garments, but I really haven't worked with knits very much. And so I think I have hesitancies to work with them just because I'm always afraid that I'll do something wrong or that they won't turn out right or won't fit right because I have so much more experience with woven fabrics. Because in my program, we've really only worked with knits once. We had 2 projects that we could have worked with knits for, and the other one the group that I was in just didn't end up using knit fabrics. So we only had 1 unit that involved like requirements to use knits. And that was my 2nd year in the program, so I just haven't really worked with knits much. And that's something I want to branch out into, so I definitely am moving that plan to my 2020 Make 9, or 2021 rather. And then the other thing I didn't make was the other Sold cami on my plans. I just decided this wasn't really for me. I had been planning it for a long time, and I really did want to make it initially, but I think I'm going to save that fabric for something different because I just don't know that I want to do all that gathering and wear a top like that. I don't think it would be something I would wear a lot because I don't think it would fit well into like the types of outfits I wear. So I'm just going to save that fabric for something different. So yeah, that was my 2020 Make 9 recap. I'm going to jump into my 2021 plans. All right, you guys, so for my 2021 plans, here is a little look at my inspiration board. Much like 2020, I'm really just going for images that are inspiring me, or like articles of clothing from different brands that are inspiring me that I want to emulate a little bit the feel of, but I'm not going for specific patterns for most of these because I will either find a pattern that's similar or I will draft a pattern. So the first thing that I put on my 2021 plans were the comfy knit pants that I didn't end up making last year. I still want to make those, and like I said, I want to get more comfortable sewing with knits, so I'm really excited to start doing that. And I think I want to make more than one pair because I really have realized throughout 2020 that comfort is a huge priority for me. After staying at home for so long and then like limiting my time out and about, I have lived in sweatpants and leggings, and so I want to make some more comfy clothes that are not only comfortable but also look a little bit more polished, a little bit more elevated than just regular old sweatpants, and something that I could feel comfortable going out and about in and feeling like myself and feeling confident, but that are still very comfortable to wear. In that vein, I also want to make a two-piece set. So I would love to make a set with the shorts like this pair, and then also some kind of like pullover, maybe something slightly cropped. I don't want to show a lot of skin or anything, but something that like just barely touches the top of my shorts or just overhangs a little bit. I think something like that would be really cute. I've seen a lot of sets from Free People and Princess Polly that are kind of the vibe I want to go for. I haven't wanted to buy any of them, not only because I want to save money, but also because a lot of them are made out of synthetic fabrics. So I did recently find a website where I bought a sweater knit that I think will work really well for this. It looks like a tight weave, and it looks like it'll be easy to work with like this fabric was, but I don't want to recommend that fabric yet because I haven't received it yet, so I don't know what the quality is like. And also the brand I ordered from, I believe is pretty sustainable. They seem to do small batch production and sell dead stock fabrics, but I just want to do some more research on them before I blast them out on the internet because I'm not positive I want to promote a brand unless they seem to be being as sustainable as possible. Obviously, textile production is a very iffy industry for that, so I just want to be sure that they're a brand I want to promote before I talk about them. But if I like the fabric and if I do more research and feel confident in that, I will definitely share it with you in the future. The next thing I definitely want to make in 2021 is that Reformation inspired dress that I didn't make last year, and I won't talk about that much because I already shared those plans with you last Make 9 video. And I also would like to make the McCall's pattern 7969, which is just a simple, oversized, flowy dress. It has puffy sleeves. Everyone has been making this dress lately. I think I want to make it in linen, but I haven't decided what color yet. I have a few linens in my stash that I'm considering, and it looks like a simple dress, and I love using patterns sometimes rather than just drafting everything myself. It's nice to not have to do the work of drafting, and so this is a pattern that looks like it would be a simple one that would fit right out of the envelope because there's no fiddly fitting bits, and so I think it would just be like an easy, good palette cleanser project. The next thing I want to make in 2021 is swimwear. I've been wanting to make swimwear for a long time, and I've never done it. Like I said, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with knit fabrics, but I am getting more confident, and I actually have a cover stitch machine now that my mom got for me for Christmas. That was so sweet of her. I'm so excited to use it. I've only used a cover stitch machine a couple times, and that was when I was in school, and I used an industrial cover stitch machine. And of course, the cover stitch machine I have does not do nearly as many stitches as an industrial machine. There are definitely ranges of cover stitch machines and what types of stitches they do. And if you aren't aware, cover stitch machines are just machines used for knit fabrics to either do hems or to reinforce the seams. And so they're used a lot on athletic wear and swimwear and things like that. So I'm excited to use it, and I definitely will be sewing more knits in order to get myself using that machine and getting comfortable with it. I think swimwear would be a great project to do this year. And I also want to make another coat. I have a few wool fabrics in my stash that I bought from the store I work at. I'm actually here right now at Thrifty Notion. We sell secondhand and dead stock fabrics. And so recently we acquired the entire stock from a store that had been open since the 40s in our town, and they shut down, and so we acquired their entire stock of fabrics, and they had a ton of wool and all sorts of cool vintage fabrics. And so I bought some wool, and I want to make another coat that's more tailored and like not fancy, but like nicer looking than the one I made that was a little more oversized and casual. And so I do have a wool in mind for that, but I haven't decided yet what fabric or what pattern I want to do. I also brought in a plan for my 2019 Make 9. I had planned to make this Urban Outfitters denim romper. I actually bought the fabric and the zipper for it like way back in 2019, and I never made it. So, or maybe I bought the fabric, oh my gosh, I may have bought that back in 2018. Either way, I planned to make it a long time ago and I never did. So I want to make that. And I also want to make something embroidered. I haven't decided yet what, but I think it would be cool to do like a black top with like star and moon embroidery, maybe in a little bit of subtle metallic threads or iridescent threads. I think that would be really cool. I don't have a lot of black in my wardrobe, and I've been wanting to bring some in smaller pieces, like maybe a cami that I could layer over. So I think it would be cool to make something like that. But I just want to do some more embroidery. I haven't done very much before, and I think it would be a great thing to branch into, just to have like a little project I could work on while maybe watching TV, or just something to spend a lot of time working on. I tend to rush projects, so having something that forces me to slow down and take my time would be really cool. Last but not least, I am considering making a chore coat out of the linen that I didn't end up using for my Persephone pants last year. It was like an ochre heavyweight home deck linen, and I'm not positive about this plan. This is one that I'm a little iffy on. If anything, this would probably be the one I don't end up making. I could be wrong. I may end up making it and loving it. I just haven't decided if I would wear a chore coat a lot. I do have quite a few jackets and cardigans already in my wardrobe that I love, and so I'm just waiting until I am able to unpack all of my stuff, get into a new place, and wear more of my clothes, and then decide from there if it's something that I think would fill a gap in my wardrobe. Alright, so that is a recap of how my 2020 Make 9 plans went, as well as my new plans for 2021. I can't wait to share more of my sewing throughout the year with you guys, and I would love to hear what you guys are planning. If you're an artist or a maker, what kind of things you're planning to work on this year and what you're excited about right now, what's inspiring you. I just love hearing about different people's inspirations and what their plans are, because I find it very inspiring. Then I'd also like to say thank you so much for being here, and if you haven't yet subscribed but enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. And I also always link my Instagram account in the description box down below if you'd like to check me out over there. I don't post very often, but I'd like to get in the habit of sharing more of my projects as I work on them along the way and little behind the scenes looks at things. So I think that'd be really fun, and I would love it if you wanted to check that out as well. All right, thank you again for being here. I appreciate you all so much, and I'll see you next time.